Today we're going to attempt to do 14 years of, well, not 14 years, sorry, it's not 14 years, it's 14 past papers on full questions and functions in particular, not the entire functions, relations, and graphs, but just functions, right? So before we start those questions, let's talk a little bit about functions. And I will start you off, and then you all are going. Let's do a little brainstorming session on what you know about functions. So, first of all, a function is a a function is a one-to-one relation, a one-to-one, or a many-to-one relation. That's what a function is, right? So, an example of a function could be f of x is equal to 3x plus 2. This is a one-to-one relation. And then another example of a function could be 2x squared plus 3x plus 1, right? So this first one here will be a one-to-one relation, well, a one-to-one function, and it's also a linear function because 3x plus 2 represents a linear graph. And then the second one, 2x squared plus 3x plus 1, this is a quadratic function, and this is actually a many-to-one function, right? So you'll have more than one values of x mapping onto exactly one value of y. That's what many-to-one is, right? So they're both functions, except the first one, the linear function, is a one-to-one, and the second one, the quadratic function, is a many-to-one. So that's something about functions. I'm getting you started. Zach, tell me something you know about functions. Anything.
The function is a one-to-one or a many-to-one relation.
So what I just told you, I want to know something else. Zach,
Um, um,
what
is
about, okay, yeah, tell me. Sorry.
no, I don't know anything, just me.
Nah, you know something. All right, let me see. If I have the function f of x is equal to 3x plus 2, right? And I want to know
Mhm.
what is the value of the function when x is 1. How would I find that?
You replace wherever you see x with one.
Right, I'll replace x with 1. So that would be what?
Three open brackets, one plus two.
Perfect, which gives me
Um, three plus two.
which is
Oh,
5, right?
five.
So the value of the function when x is 1 is 5. So, in other words, if I had to plot this on a graph, your x coordinates will be 1 and your y coordinates will be 5, right? That's what it means. Okay. Um, Zaydan, Zaydan, what if I wanted to know the value of when x is 0? So f of 0. Where's Zaydan?
Yes, right here.
Yeah, tell
Um,
me.
and anything multiplied by zero is zero.
Correct.
So then it'll just be two.
That's right. So what would I write as the substitution? The line here, f of 0 is equal to,
Um, um, three open bracket zero close bracket plus two.
right? And that's how come I got 0, right? So f of 0 is 2. All right. Guys, notice something that both Zaydan and Zach showed us is that when you're doing the substitution, you have to use brackets, right? Because this means multiply. 3x plus 2 literally means 3 times x plus 2. All right. What about um what about if I had, well, yeah, we're just using that same function, f of x is equal to 3x plus 2, right? Can anybody tell me what this means? This symbol here, f to the power of negative 1 of x, what is
Inverse
that called? That's right. This is the inverse. Right. What are the steps to find the inverse? Anybody knows? Anybody recalls? What are the steps to find the inverse of a function? No? Well, first of all, what the inverse of a function is, it's basically you're working backwards, right? So in this function, f of x is equal to 3x plus 2, this literally means for every x value, you would multiply it by 3 and then you would add 2. So the inverse is the opposite of that. So instead of adding 2, it will be minus 2. And instead of multiplying by 3, it will be divided by 3. So without even working it out algebraically, I can reason it out in my head to figure out what I might be looking for. So I look at the function 3x plus 2 and I think about what is being done there, which is multiplication and then addition. So then if I'm doing the reverse or the inverse, it'll be the opposite of those operations. So I know that my function inverse is it should look like x minus 2 because the opposite of adding 2 is minusing 2 and then divided by 3 since the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. But let's look at the algebraic steps in finding the inverse of a function, right? So the first step is let f of x equal y. So to let f of x equal y, I would say I'll replace f of x with y. So this would be y is equal to 3x plus 2. Next step is that I interchange x and y. So I'm interchanging x and y, which means I'm basically, wherever I have y, I would now write x, and wherever I have x, I would now write y. So instead of y is equal to 3x plus 2, this will be x is equal to 3y plus 2. And now you make y the subject. So make y the subject, which means that you're solving for y, right? Or you're rearranging the expression to make y the subject. So this is x is equal to 3y plus 2. I want to get rid of all the other terms on the right-hand side to just remain with y. So first, I will move plus 2 to the other side of the equation, which means it will become minus 2. Because when you move a term from one side of the equation to the next, you do the opposite of the operation. So this will be x minus 2 is equal to 3y. And if x minus 2 is equal to 3y, well, I'll have to divide by I'll have to divide by 3 to get rid of it. So I'll end up with x minus 2 divided by 3 is equal to y. And this is your function inverse. So f inverse x is equal to x minus 2 divided by 3. And as you can see, that's what I thought it was going to be, right? So I want you all to not only learn off the algebraic steps, of course that's important, but also pay attention to what is happening in the function, right? Because the function literally is a relation. So it gives us a set of rules to follow in order to get your y values or your f of x values. So here, the function inverse is x minus 2 over 3. And these 3 steps, let f of x equal y, interchanging x and y, and making y the subject are the exact rules that you will use to find the inverse of any function. All right, so that's the inverse function. The next thing that you need to know is the composite functions. So let's say I have a function f of x is equal to 3x plus 2, the same one. And then I have g of x is equal to x squared minus 1. I could be asked to find f of g of x. Anybody remembers how to find f of g of x? So this is a composite function where you substitute one function into the other function. Anybody recalls? Fired. Do you recall how to find f of g of x? Fired, assalamu alaikum.
Yes,
Yeah, how do you do it?
Waalaikumsalam. Yes, I'm good.
All right. So how would we find f of g of x, Syed?
We have t,
Mm-hmm.
open brackets,
Mm-hmm.
x squared minus 1, close
Yeah.
brackets plus 2.
Right. So tell us what you did there. That's correct. What did we do?
Basically, where we see x in the function f of x, we
Hmm.
substitute the function g of x here.
Correct, right? So f of g of x is simply substituting g of x into f of x. So just like when you found, like here, when you found f of 1, right? You replaced the x with 1 in the original function. Here, instead of replacing just a value, you're replacing an expression, and the expression here is g of x. So f of g of x is the same as finding what f of x squared minus 1 is. So that means wherever you have x in the function f of x, you would replace it with g of x, whatever g of x is, right? So that would be, so f of g of x is f of x squared minus 1 because that's what g of x is. So wherever you have x in the original function, you're going to replace it with x squared minus 1. And we can simplify this. 3 by x squared is 3x squared. 3 by minus 1 is minus 3. And then you have plus 2 on the outside there. So this will give us 3x squared minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. And that is your function f of g of x. And in the same way, you could have also found g of f of x. And to find g of f of x, you would need to replace wherever you have x in the function g of x, you would replace it with 3x plus 2. Let's just do it quickly just to be sure, right? So we had f of x is equal to 3x plus 2, and then g of x is x squared minus 1. So if I'm finding g of f of x, it means I am finding g of 3x plus 2. So wherever I have 3x plus 2, sorry, wherever I have x in the function g of x, I'm going to replace it with 3x plus 2. So this is x squared. So that means it will be 3x plus 2 squared minus 1. Now at this point, please note that 3x plus 2 all to be squared is not 9x squared plus 4. 3x plus 2 all to be squared will be 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2, all of that minus 1. So expanding this, 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x by 2 is 6x. And then 2 by 3x is 6x as well. So this will be plus 12x plus 4 minus 1. And then finally, this will be 9x squared plus 12x plus 3. And that's your answer. Right? You can simplify this answer by dividing throughout by 3 because all of these are multiples of 3. So you can actually write this more simply as 3x squared plus 4x plus 1, right? Either one of those will be acceptable. Unless they say write it in its simplest form, then I would suggest dividing throughout by 3 since you have the common factor 3. So yeah, so far, just what we've done in this little brainstorm session, we have defined what a function is. It is a one-to-one or a many-to-one relation. We looked at the inverse function, the 3 steps to find the inverse of a function, of any function. Step 1, let f of x equal y. Step 2, interchange x and y. Step 3, make y the subject, and whatever y is equal to will be your inverse function. We looked at the composite functions, which is exactly as you would do for substituting a value of x into a function, except you're substituting the entire function into the other one. So f of g of x means finding out what the value of the function f is when x is equal to the whole function g of x. And another thing we need to talk about is the domain of a function. So the domain of a function is all the possible x values, right? All possible x values that the function can take. And most functions, the domain is x belongs to all the real numbers. But sometimes you may have restrictions on the domain of a function, meaning that sometimes there are certain values of x that cannot be used in the function. And those circumstances, there are only two, is, actually, yes, there are only two. So like, let's say you have x plus 3 over x, right? X here, anybody knows what the restriction on the domain of this function would be? Sorry, I need to write it over. F of x is equal to x plus 3 over x. So in this function, x belongs to all the real numbers except one value. Can anybody tell me what value of x will make this function, what value of x cannot be substituted into this function? I feel Jazara know what it is. Jazara, yes, Jazara is here. Jazara, with x plus 3 divided by x, what value of x cannot be used?
Must be 0.
It is 0. See, I had a good feeling that you would know. Can you tell us why?
Because you can't divide anything by 0.
That's right. So x belongs to all the real numbers except x is not equal to 0. You cannot divide by 0. It's undefined, right? So the function is undefined when x is equal to 0. So you can substitute any value of x into this function except 0 because you cannot divide by 0. So another similar case here would be like if you had f of x is equal to, let's say at x plus 2 over x minus 2, right? So these are the same kind of principle, right? The, the denominator here is x minus 2. Whatever value of x that would make that denominator equal to 0 will be the restriction of the domain. So what value of x here will make the denominator, the entire denominator, if I substitute that value into the denominator, it will be equal to 0. Anybody knows what value of x that would be? So x belongs to the real numbers, but x cannot equal what?
2
What's that, Tristan?
is 2.
Yes, 2, right? Because if x was equal to 2, then x will be 2, and then minus 2, which will be equal to 0. So x cannot be equal to 2, right? So whatever value, whenever you have a function with x in the denominator, whatever value that would make the whole denominator equal to 0 cannot be, well, that would be the restriction on the domain. In the first instance here, it was x. X was by itself. So then the denominator just cannot be, x cannot be 0. But in this second one, the denominator is x minus 2. So you need to ask yourself, what value of x will make the entire denominator equal to 0? It has to be 2 because 2 minus 2 is equal to 0, right? And then the other restriction, the other instance where there's a restriction on the domain is if you have the square root of something. So let's say the square root of x is the function, right? Then the domain here will be x is greater than or equal to 0. Because, can anybody tell me why? Why does x have to be greater than or equal to 0 if the function is the square root of x? why would why would x have to be greater than or equal to 0 if the function is the square root of x? Let me see. Let me see. Evan, any idea as to why why the domain would have to be x is greater than or equal to 0?
Yes, the zero to have a square root.
Because
Zero to have a square root.
0 does have a square root. 0. The square root of 0 is 0. So it's greater than or equal to 0. But it has to do with something like that, Evan, because I'm saying that x is greater than or equal to 0, which means that, does that mean x belongs to positive numbers or negative numbers, Evan?
Positive.
It's all positive. So why? Can you take the square root of a negative number?
No.
No, you cannot take the square root of a negative number. So that's why when your function is the square root of x, then the values of x have to be positive, right? But if it was in the case like f of x is equal to the square root of x, um, x plus 2, for instance, well, the domain here would have to be when x is greater than or equal to negative 2. X is greater than or equal to negative 2 because negative 2 plus 2 is equal to 0. So any number greater than or equal to negative 2 would result in a positive answer, a positive number inside of the square root. So for example, negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So you can find the square root of 1. It's 1, right? But if you use negative 3, that wouldn't work because negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1, and you cannot take the square root of a negative number. So the domain of a function has restrictions only in the instance when you have to find, well, for this level, only in the instance where you have to find where there's a denominator and the denominator cannot be equal to 0, or when the function involves a square root. In that case, the x value or whatever is inside of the square root cannot be equal to a negative number, as you cannot take the root of a negative number. So that is a little brainstorming session about functions, and that's pretty much most of what you have to know in order to solve the functions question. So we're gonna get started. You should be seeing on your screen now the past paper questions. Somebody just let me know if you're seeing it, please, before I continue.
Yeah, miss.
Okay, perfect. Good. So the first one, this is from this year. This is from Evan's paper. Evan, remember this question? You would have done this question this year.
No, miss, I don't remember it.
Yeah. I after after I do an exam, I typically kind of like erase it from my head. All right, so the functions f and g are defined as follows. F of x is x squared plus 3. The domain is x is greater than or equal to 0. And g of x is 2x plus 2, where x belongs to all the real numbers. Calculate the value of g of negative 1. Say down to this one for me, please. The value of g of negative 1.
Miss, well, two two times -1 would be -2.
Hmm?
So negative 2 times -1 would be -2. So -2 plus +2 would be equal to 0.
Perfect. Right, guys? 1 mark. G of negative 1 is 0. All right. And now we need to write down an expression for f inverse x. So let me just write over f of x. F of x is equal to x squared plus 3. X squared plus 3. So to find the inverse, f inverse of x, remember, the first step is let f of x equal y. So instead of f of x, I would write y is equal to x squared plus 3. And now I need to, this is part 2. Now I need to interchange x and y. So interchanging x and y means uh interchanging x and y. Let's see. Amisha, if I want to interchange x and y, that means I'm swapping the positions. So wherever I have y, I'll replace it with x. And wherever I have x, I'll replace it with y. So what would the next line be, Amisha?
Miss, I'm still kind of confused with
Why
it.
are you confused? So let's do it step by step together, right? So I have f of x is equal to x squared plus 3. First step is to let f of x equal y. So instead of writing f of x is equal to x squared plus 3, I will write y is equal to x squared plus 3. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm interchanging x and y. That means you're going to swap the positions of x and y in this expression here. So if I swap the positions of x and y, what would the new equation look like?
Um,
So instead of y, you're going to write x, and instead of x, you're going to write y. So what should I write? I have y is equal to x squared plus 3. So what should that be?
so
If I'm
it'll be
swapping it.
so Miss, it'll be x.
Hmm?
It'll be x equals
Mm-hmm.
y squared plus 3.
Right.
Oh,
Right? It will be x equals y squared plus 3. And now I'm going to make y the subject. That means that I want y by itself, right? So you see how I have y squared plus 3 there? I want to get rid of everything else but y. So firstly, I want to get rid of this plus 3. What's the opposite of adding 3?
you take away 3.
Correct. So then the next line will be x minus 3 is equal to y squared. Right?
Oh, okay.
I moved plus 3 from the right-hand side to the left-hand side of the equation. And whenever you move a term from one side to the other side, you do the opposite of the operation. So it will be x minus 3 is equal to y squared. And now I need to get rid of the squared. Do you know what is the opposite of squaring?
Miss, I'm going to tell it, and I can't remember.
That's okay. Somebody tell me what's the opposite of squaring? How would I get rid of the square?
Square root.
Square root, right? So I'll take the square root of x minus 3 and the square root of y squared, which will just leave me with y. And this, Amisha, is the f inverse x. F inverse x is the square root of x minus 3. All right, Amisha, were you able to follow these steps with me?
Yes, Miss.
Thank you. Right, guys, so that's the second part. F inverse x is x, the square root of x minus 3. So f inverse x is equal to the root of x minus 3. All right, and now we have to derive a simplified expression for g of f of x. A simplified expression for g of f of x. All right, who's going to help me with this one? To find g of f of x. Let me see what my boy.
Me, miss.
Yes, Aiden. Let's go, honey.
Miss was G of F X.
Hmm?
Miss, I say now. Oh,
I
that
just
one.
writing over.
G
I
of
just write. Hold on, I
X.
just writing over the functions here so we could see it. So we find in
So,
g of
miss,
x.
you
Hmm?
had to put F into G.
That's right. So I'm finding. So g of f of x is finding g of x squared plus 3. Uh-huh. So what would
Mhm.
it be?
Miss, it will be 2 open
Hmm?
brackets, x squared plus 3,
Hmm?
plus 2.
That's right. And now
Hmm.
we simplify.
So miss, that would be 2x squared plus 3.
No, plus 6, because you have to multiply 2 by 3 as well.
Oh yeah, I forget. Plus 6,
Mhm.
plus 2,
Yeah.
and that would be 8. So like 2x squared plus 8.
Good. So because the question says a simplified expression, what we need to do is we need to simplify 2x squared plus 8, right? So notice that 2x squared and 8 have a common factor. Zayden?
Minus 2.
Yeah. So we're going to factorize 2x squared plus 8. So we'll take 2 on the outside. 2 into 2x squared is x squared, and 2 into 8 is 4. So this will be the simplified version of that. All right?
Yes,
Thank you, Zayden. Very good. Right, so that one is 2 by x squared plus 4. That is the function g of f. Right. Given that f of g of x is equal to 4x squared plus 8x plus 7, solve the following equation. F of g of x is equal to 2 times g of f of x plus 15. So we already know what g of f of x is. It's this, 2 by x squared plus 4, right? And what we do not know, oh, sorry, look, they gave it to us here. F of g of x is 4x squared plus 8x plus 7. So if we have to solve this equation, guys, what we need to do is we need to equate f of g of x, which is given to us here, to 2 times g of f of x plus 15. So let me show you all how we do that part. So we have f of, I'm going to use a different color. We have f of g of x is equal to 2 by g of f of x. Guys, 2 of g of f of x literally means 2 times g of f of x, right? So what we will do is let's rewrite f of g of x. That's given to us here. So that would be 4x squared plus 8x plus 7. That's what f of g of x is. And that is equal to 2 of g of f of x. So 2 of g of f of x will be 2 times, I'm going to use it in this format, just because it's going to be easier to work it out there, right? So 2 times 2x squared plus 8 plus 15. And now we're going to solve the equation. We're going to simplify first of all. So this would be, nothing changes here. It'll be 4x squared plus 8x plus 7. Removing these brackets, you'll get 2 by 2x squared, which is 4x squared. 2 by 8 is 16 plus 15. All right, so let's see. What else we have there? 6. So let's simplify. So this would be 4x squared plus 8x plus 7 equals 4x squared, 16 plus 15. 16 plus 15 is 31. Right? And now you're going to move all your terms to one side of the equation, right? So you'll have, or actually, we just want to get x's on one side and constants on the other side. Because here's what would happen here. You'll end up with 4x squared. If I move this 4x squared, it's going to become minus 4x squared. So that whole thing will cancel. So you'll end up with 4x squared minus 4x squared plus 8x. I'm going to keep 31 on this side. I'm going to move plus 7 from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, so it becomes minus 7. So this will give me 8x because these two will cancel, right? 4x squared minus 4x squared will be 0. So all that you're left with on the left-hand side is 8x, and 31 minus 7 is 24. So then if 8x is equal to 24, x is equal to 24 divided by 8, which means that x is equal to 3. That's the answer. That's why this question was 3 marks. Let me go through how you're getting your 3 marks for this question. So this is B part 2. Given that f of g of x is equal to 4x squared plus 8x plus 7, solve the equation f of g of x is equal to 2 by g of x plus 15. So f of g of x is given to you. So you replace that with what was given, which is 4x squared plus 8x plus 7. And then 2 by g of f of x literally means 2 times what g of f of x is. So 2 times 2x squared plus 8 plus 15. And now you simplify and you solve the equation. So you'll end up with 4x squared plus 8x plus 7 is equal to, I expanded these brackets to give me 4x squared plus 16 and then plus 15. And then you continue to simplify until you reach the end. So this is a high level of algebra here, and that's why that part of the question was 3 marks. Now, let me tell you, even if you didn't get down to the end, like the solution itself, just like this part here, just being able to recognize this part here, that would give you 1 mark, right? And then solving will give you another mark. Then your final mark would be for the correct answer, right? So even if you couldn't do the entire question, even if you were able to do piece of it, at least you could get 1 or even 2 out of 3 marks. That's better than 0. So that's how I want you all to approach this paper, right? Even if you're stuck and you can't get the solution, don't worry about it. Move on. You do not need 100 marks. You don't even need 90 marks in order to get a 1 in CXC math, right? You just need to do as many parts of the questions as possible. So this was the functions question from this year. Let's look at last year, May 2025. Aaron, are you there? Where's Aaron? No Aaron. Okay. Shaniqua, do you want to try this question with me? G of -6. Where's Shaniqua there? Shaniqua, are you there? Right, Eliana. Eliana,
Yes, miss.
can you try this one with me? G of -6.
Okay, it will be G in brackets -6 equals 3 in brackets -6 plus 2,
Yep.
and that will be -18
Hmm?
plus 2,
Yep.
which is -20.
It'll be -16.
Oh.
-18 minus 2 will be -20. But if you're plusing 2, you just subtract and take the sign of the larger number. So -18 plus 2 is -16. Good, thank you. So even with that, Eliana, even if you had said -20, you would have still gotten a half mark for this part because this part is correct, right? But of course, girl, use your calculator, okay? In exams, I use my calculator for 1 plus 1. I'm not even lying. I use my calculator for everything in exams. So use your calculator, especially for these negatives. Thank you, Eliana. All right, G inverse of X. Zach. Where's my boy Zach?
Hello?
Zach, can we find the inverse of G?
I'm gonna be honest, I just came back.
All right.
So,
Well, can we do it together then?
of course, yes. Please.
All right. So the first thing is let's g of x equal y, right? So
Mhm.
that would what would I write then if I'm letting g of x equal y?
Um, are we doing do we have to usually do I have to have these stuff on top?
Well, let me just give you a kickstart. So if you're letting g of x equal y, instead of writing g of x, you're just going to write y. So this would be y is equal to 3x plus 2, right?
Oh, yes, that. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, right. And then the next step, do you remember the next step?
We we have to put the where we see X, you have to replace it with the
Yeah.
value.
Oh no. For this part, you interchange x and y.
So it'll
So we
be X
swap in
equals
x.
3y plus 2.
That's right. X is equal to 3y plus 2. And then we solve for y, or we make y the subject of the equation. So making y the subject means that I need to move everything from the right hand side to the left hand side to just get y is equal to something. Make y the subject, right? So to move to move plus 2 to the other side, what would it become?
Minus 2
So
plus
it'll be
X
x,
equals 3y.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
And then to get rid of this 3 from the y, what would I do?
Divide by 3
That's right. X minus 2 divided by 3 is equal to
on
y.
both
And
sides.
yeah, that would be your G inverse X,
Oh, okay. Oh, so
right?
that's the answer. Oh,
Yeah, that's the answer. Once you make y the subject, that is your, whatever y is equal to is your inverse.
I just needed a kickstart. Yes.
Thank you, Zach. So G inverse X is X minus 2 over 3. Show that f of g of x is equal to 3 by 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. All right, so let's see. F of g of x. So f of x, I'm going to rewrite the expression. F of x is equal to, what is it? Just zoom out a little bit to get it. F of x is equal to x squared minus 1. And g of x is equal to 3x the function f of x. Fired, what would it be? F of g of x.
Um, f of g of x is equal to 0.
F of g of x is equal to 0. No?
The part A,
What's the what was the actual function for g of x? What would it be equal to? Like if I had to write out the expression for it.
it will be open brackets,
Hmm?
CX plus 2, close brackets, squared minus 1.
Yeah, thank you. So it'll be equal to 3x plus 2 all to be squared minus 1. So this question doesn't mean to solve it. This means to show that whatever we get here can be expressed as this 3 by 3x plus 1 by x plus 1, right? So you have to expand this first of all. So 3x plus 2 all to be squared will be equal to 3x plus 2 by 3x plus 2 minus 1. Then we expand this, so this will be 3x, sorry, not 3x. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 2 is 6x. 2 times 3x is 6x. And then 2 times 2 is 4. All of that minus 1. So then we simplify this. So this would give me 9x squared. 6x plus 6x is 12x. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. So I can take 3 out of this by factorizing it. So this will be 3 by 3x squared plus 4x plus 1. And to factorize 3x squared plus 4x plus 1, that would be, I can factorize 3x squared plus 4x plus 1. Let's look at the steps in factorizing a quadratic, right? Just to recall, if I have to factorize 3x squared plus 4x plus 1, I will identify A, B, and C. So A in this quadratic is 3, B is 4, and C is 1. AC here is 3 times 1, which is 3. And then the two factors of AC that would multiply to give me 3 and add to give me 4 will be 3 and 1. And it could only be 3 and 1 because the factors of 3 are only 1 and 3. 3 is a prime number. So factorizing 3x plus 4x plus 1 would be, you would write over the expression, replacing 4x with the two factors. So that'll be 3x squared plus 3x plus x plus 1. And then factorizing by grouping, 3x squared and 3x have the common factor 3x in there. So this will be 3x times x by 1 plus 1 by x plus 1. And therefore, the final factors of the quadratic 3x squared plus 4x plus 1 will be 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. Right? And there you have it. So now I can write this over as 3 on the outside and write in 3x squared plus 4x plus 1 as a product of its factors will be 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. And there I have shown that f of g of x is equal to 3 by 3x plus 1 by x plus 1. Q, E, E. So I've shown it. And that's 3 marks, right? It is 3 marks because it's a quite layered question. In that you first needed to find your f of g of x. You had to find your expression for f of g of x. And then you had to simplify it. But not only did you have to simplify it, but you would have had to recognize that you could have factorized the quadratic to get it to look like what they're asking you to show. And hence, solve the equation f of g of x is equal to 0. So to solve the equation f of g of x is equal to 0, you would write this 3 by 3x plus 1 by x plus 1 is equal to 0. So that means all of this would be equal to 0 divided by 3. So you'll just end up with 3x plus 1 by x plus 1 is equal to 0. 0 divided by 3 is 0. I divided throughout by 3 to get rid of this 3 on the outside. Now, I hope you'll remember how to solve a quadratic by factorization. Guys, if you do not know how to do this, please go on the YouTube and watch. I have about 5 or 6 videos on factorizing quadratics. So at this point, if you find this to be confusing, I encourage you to go and look at those videos. There are short videos on it, like YouTube shorts, which are like 1 minute and 2 minutes long. And then I have a whole class on it, a whole class that I just taught yesterday on factorizing quadratics, and it's on the YouTube, right? So to factorize a quadratic, to solve a quadratic by factorization, you already have your factors. So you equate each of those factors to 0 and solve for x. So the first one, if you have 3x plus 1 by x plus 1 is equal to 0, then 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. And so this would mean 3x is equal to 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. which means that x is equal to negative 1/3 or x is equal to negative 1. So the solution to this quadratic equation will be x is equal to negative 1/3 and negative 1. How y'all feeling so far? Everybody's okay? I want y'all to try this part for me. Try for me question 8 here, part A. Actually, try this whole question. I'm gonna do it. I'll give you all, let me see. I'm giving you all 7 minutes to try this question. Everyone try it, try something, and then I'm gonna do it with you guys. Zinga, how you going? I didn't hear from you for the evening yet. Do you try this question, love? Where is Nzinga? All right, Tristan, you tried it?
Yeah, miss, on the last question.
Right. Guys, I'm gonna start it. Clear the value of f of negative 2. F of negative 2 means that you're gonna replace x in the function f of x with negative 2. So this would be f of negative 2 is 1 plus 3 by negative 2 over negative 2, take away 1. So this would give me 1, 3 by negative 2 is minus 6, and minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. So 1 minus 6 is 5, 5 over negative 3. So the answer will be negative 5. Actually, not negative, it will be positive because this would be negative 5 divided by negative 3. And negative divided by negative is a positive. So 5/3. Let me check on my calculator because you need to double check. So that would be 1 plus 3 open brackets negative 2 close brackets divided by negative 2 minus 1. Zach, that's correct as well. Zach, tell us your answer.
167.
1.67. So 1 plus 3 by negative 2 is negative 5, and then negative 2 take away 1 is negative 3. So negative 5 divided by negative 3 is 1.67 to 2 decimal places, or as a fraction, 1 and 2/3 or 5 over 3. Any of those guys would be acceptable, right? Determine a simplified expression for f of g of x. So f of g of x would be, well, we're going to replace g of x in the function f of x. So we're finding f of 5 minus x because that's what g of x is equal to. So that would be wherever I have x in the function f of x, I'm going to replace with 5 minus x. So 1 plus 3 times 5 minus x all over 5 minus x minus 1, right? So this should be, simplifying this, you'll get 1 plus 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times minus x is minus 3x, all over 5 minus x minus 1. So 5 minus 1 is 4 minus x. And then simplifying again, this would give me 1 plus 15 is 16. So 16 minus 3x all over 4 minus x. That's the answer. So f of g of x is 16 minus 3x all over 4 minus x. Let me make sure I didn't make a mistake. F of x is 1 plus 3x. So f of g of x will be 1 plus 3 times 5 minus x over 5 minus x minus 1. And then you simplify this. So you remove the brackets. 3 times 5 is 15. And 3 times minus x is minus 3x. And then you'll get 1 plus 15, which is 16, minus 3x on top. And then below, 5 minus 1 is 4, minus x. So this should be your simplified expression for f of g of x. And now finally, derive an expression in terms of x for the inverse function f inverse x. So f of x is, let me zoom out just so I could write it. F of x is equal to 1 plus 3x over x minus 1. So this one kind of gives students some trouble. So if you were stuck, don't worry, we're going to sort it out now. So the first step in finding the inverse of the function, you let f of x equal y. So this would be y is equal to 1 plus 3x over x minus 1. Now you interchange x and y. So wherever you have y, you would replace it with x. And wherever you have x, you would replace it with y. So instead of y, here I would put x. And then on this side, it will be 1 plus 3y over y minus 1. And then you make y the subject. So making y the subject, first I will multiply both sides by y minus 1. So this side will be x by y minus 1 is equal to 1 plus 3y. I'm going to remove the brackets. So this would be x times y, which is xy, and x times minus 1 is minus x. That is equal to 1 plus 3y. Going to group all the terms with y on one side and all the terms with x on the other side. So this would become, I'm keeping xy on this side, and I'm moving plus 3y to the left-hand side. So it will become minus 3y. I keep 1 on this side, I'm moving minus x to the right-hand side, so it will become plus x. Now, on the right-hand side, remember the objective is to get y by itself. So I could get y by itself here by factorizing both terms, factoring out y, since y is common to both of them. So this would be y into x minus 3 is equal to 1 plus x. And therefore, y would be equal to 1 plus x divided by x minus 3. And that is your answer. F inverse x is equal to 1 plus x divided by x minus 3. Guys, this type of question, this one, finding the inverse when you have x in both the numerator and the denominator, is one of the trickier types of finding the inverse function. And they bring it quite often, as you will see in the other questions as we go along. So I want you to be very careful and also to pay attention to make a note of how to find the inverse, how to do the algebraic steps when you need to find the inverse, where both numerator and denominator have the x, right? So make sure when you're writing this over, and I encourage you, please, to write over the solutions. When I send this to you, please write out the solutions fully. And then you can always, what you could do is take the blank sheet and then try the questions yourself. But then you would always have the solutions to refer to. We're going on to question to 2024 here. Two functions f and g are defined as follows. F of x is 3x plus 1 and g of x is x squared. So find in its simplest form an expression for f of x minus 2. So f of x minus 2 Wherever I have x in the function f of x, I'm going to replace it with x minus 2. So this would be 3 by x minus 2 plus 1. Expanding these brackets, 3 by x is 3x, and 3 by minus 2 is minus 6. So 3x minus 6 plus 1 would be 3x minus 5. Minus 6 plus 1 is minus 5. So the answer there will be 3x minus 5. This is an easy two-mark question. Then the other one, g of 3x plus 2 plus 10. So recall the function g of x is x squared. So g of x is equal to x squared. So then g of 3x plus 2 plus 10. Well, first, g of 3x plus 2 means you're replacing x with 3x plus 2. So g of 3x plus 2 would be 3x plus 2 all to be squared, and then you're adding 10 to that. So 3x plus 2 all to be squared means 3x plus 2 by 3x plus 2. All of that plus 10. So this would give me 9x squared plus 6x plus 4. All of that plus 10. So the final answer will be 9x squared plus 6x plus 14, right? Because you could add the 4 and the 10, so that'll be 9x squared plus 6x plus 14. Here, I want you to be careful, right? Because students do this thing where you see how it's x squared. We'll do 3x plus 2 all to be squared is equal to 3x squared, which is 9x squared, and then 2 squared, which is 4. That is wrong, right? This, you have to 3x plus 2 all to be squared means it's 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. Okay, so you have to expand the brackets like that. All right, so that was part 2. Let's see. Right, so guys, I want you to understand that in the last one, so in the last 7 years, right? 2019, 2020. Actually, last 8 years, because that's 8, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the last 8 years, functions have come every single year. So that means it's going to come in this exam, right? So when you're looking at your past papers, something that you should get in the habit of doing is looking for patterns and trends in the past papers. One pattern is that in this one is that these functions questions always come either in the first section as like question 4 or in the second section in like question 8, right? So it's every year these functions questions are coming. Therefore, you need to know how to work with functions. All right, let's look at this one, number 8. Y'all try this one for me quickly. This is giving you uh giving you 5 minutes to do this question. Okay, the functions f and g are defined as follows. F of x is 2x minus 1 divided by 3, and g of x is 5 minus x squared. You have to find the value of g of 2 and then f inverse of 3. So for this part, f inverse of 3, you would first need f inverse, and then you would substitute 3, x is equal to 3, into what you get as the inverse function. And then you have to find the f of g of x. So try this one, guys. 5 minutes, 5 marks. Let's go. Do what you can, and don't worry, I'm going to do it with you anyway. Okay, guys, so I'm going to do it. F of x is 2x minus 1 over 3. G of x is 5 minus x squared. Determine the value of g of 2. So to find g of 2, you simply replace x with 2 in the expression for g of x. So that will be g, open brackets, 2, close brackets, equals 5 minus 2 squared, which is equal to 5 minus 4, which is 1. So g of 2 is 1. It's 1 mark because it's really not that complicated. Now part B says to find f inverse of 3. So the first thing
Miss,
you would, yeah,
the A is 9 because when you square a negative it is into a positive.
no babe, that's if it was, this is 5 take away 2 squared, right? But even if it was, negative 2, it would still be 5 take away negative 2 squared, and that would be 5 take away, well, minus 2 squared will be 4, right? So this here wouldn't change to positive because you would have to do the minus by the minus. Do you understand
Okay,
why?
miss. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So it would be 1, right? F inverse of 3, you would need to find F inverse first. So F inverse, let f of x equal y. So that would be y is equal to 2x minus 1 over 3. Now you interchange x and y. So interchanging x and y, you'll get x is equal to 2y minus 1 over 3. And then you make y the subject. So making y the subject, that would give you, well, move 3 to the other side by multiplying. So that would be 3x is equal to 2y minus 1. And then 3x plus 1 is equal to 2y. So then y would be 3x plus 1 divided by 2. So f inverse x would be equal to 3x plus 1 over 2. So now f inverse of 3 will be f inverse of 3. You would replace x with 3. So that'll be 3 by 3 plus 1 over 2, which gives me 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 over 2 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the answer is 5. F inverse 3 is equal to 5. All right. And now the last part says derive an expression in its simplest form for f of g of x. So for f of g of x, f of x is, just writing it over, f of x is equal to 2x minus 1 over 3. And then g of x is 5 minus x squared. So to find f of g of x it means that we need to substitute g of x into f of x. So that's like finding f of 5 minus x squared, since that's what g of x is equal to. So f of 5 minus x squared will be 2 times 5 minus x squared minus 1 all over 3. So expanding these brackets, you'll get 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times minus x squared is minus 2x squared minus 1 all over 3. That gives me 10 minus 1 is 9. So 9 minus 2x squared all over 3. That's the answer. So f of g of x is equal to 9 minus 2x squared all over 3.
Miss, you could go back on the inverse.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, Miss, I forget to
Hmm.
put to substitute the 3 into it. I just
Oh,
inverse it.
okay. So you got 3x plus 1 over 2.
Yes, Miss.
Perfect. So that will be 1
Miss,
mark.
I could do the inverse, but like when I tell like two x's in it, that is when I get confused.
Yeah, yeah, because that you mean like a x in the numerator and the denominator, like this one.
Yes, Miss. That one had me in shambles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Initially, when I the first time I did it, well, I remember as a student, this used to make me cry. But when I had to learn it to teach it, I was like, oh shucks, this is how you do it. So what I would suggest, Aidan, is to like just learn the steps, right? So like learn the steps, just like how you would learn the steps to find the inverse. Learn the steps to do it like this because this type comes often. All right, so let's move on, guys. January 2024, f of x is equal to 2 minus 5x, and h of x is equal to 5 to the power of x. So to find the value of f of 4, I think everybody would be able to do this by now. 5f of 4, means we're replacing x with 4. So that would be 2 minus 5 times 4, which is 2 take away 20, which is negative 18. So f of 4 is negative 18. To double check that, we would do minus 18. Right. On your calculator, 2 take away 5 by open brackets 4, close brackets, you'll get negative 18. And now h of 0. So h of 0 would be 5 to the power of 0. Any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Not 0, eh? 5 to the power of 0 is 1, right? So any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. That's a rule, a law of indices, actually. A law of indices. 8 to the power of 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Any number raised to the power of 1 is itself. Learn your laws of indices. Also, you have a calculator, so put it in your calculator. And now the third part of this question is to find f of h of negative 2. So let me zoom out. F of h of negative 2. So here's what you would do for this one. Instead of finding f of h and then substituting negative 2 into it, I suggest finding h of negative 2 first and then substituting that into f of x because that's an acceptable way to do it as well. There are two ways to do a question like this where they ask you to find the value of a composite function when x is equal to something, right? The first way is you could find the composite function, in this case f of h first, and then substitute that, and then substitute the value negative 2 into that function that you get. Or you can find h of negative 2 and then substitute that into f. I prefer to do it that way. I think it's easier to do it that way, right? So h of negative 2, remember h of x is 5 to the power of x. So h of negative 2 would be 5 to the power of negative 2, which is 5 to the power of negative 2 is 0.04, right? Or laws of indices for reason. So like a to the power of negative m is equal to 1 over a to the m. So 5 to the power of negative 2 will be 1 over 5 squared, which is 1 over 25. And 1 over 25 is 0.04, right? So h of negative 2 is 0.04. So now I just need to find, so therefore, f of h of negative 2 is finding f of 0.04. And all of you know how to find f of a value because you simply replace that value into the function f of x. In this case, so recall that f of x is equal to, what was it? 2 take away 5x. 2 take away 5x. So f of 0.04 would be 2 take away 5 times 0.04. And that would be 2 take away 5 times 0.04 is 1.8. So the answer is 1.8. All right. And then the next question, find f inverse x. Part B. Find f inverse x. Okay. So f of x is, recall that f of x is 2 minus 5x. f of x is equal to 2 minus 5x. So first things first, to find the inverse, we let f of x equal y. So that would mean y is equal to 2 minus 5x. Then we interchange x and y. Interchange x and y. So that would be x is equal to 2 take away 5y. And then you make y the subject. So essentially we are solving for y. So that would mean, well, this is what I like to do, since this is minus 5y, I'm just going to move it to the right-hand side, to the left-hand side, sorry, so that I could get positive 5y instead. So keeping 2 on this side, I'm going to move x to this side, which will be minus x. So you'll have 5y is equal to 2 minus x. So then y is equal to 2 minus x divided by 5. So the inverse is f inverse x would be 2 take away x over 5. And it's 2 marks. 2 easy marks, guys. Final part of this question. Given that f of x is equal to a plus bx, determine the values of a and b. So f of x is literally substituting f of x into itself, right? So recall that f of x is equal to 2 minus 5x. So then f of x is finding f of 2 minus 5x. So wherever I have x in f of x, I'm going to replace it with 2 minus 5x. So that would be 2 minus 5 by 2 minus 5x. And then you simplify this. So this will be 2 minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. And minus 5 times minus 5 will be plus 25. Well, x. So then this gives me 2 minus 10, which is negative 8, plus 25x. Right? So given that this is a plus bx, a will be minus 8 and b is 25. So the answer, a is equal to minus 8 and b is equal to 25. Because they told us that it is in the form, given that f of x is a plus bx, where a and b are real numbers. So you just substitute your values in there, right? So f of x literally means substituting f of x into f of x. So wherever you have x in the function, you're going to replace it with what the whole function is equal to. So you're replacing x with 2 minus 5x. And that was 3 marks. Right, guys? So this whole question was what? 3, 2, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 marks, guys. A 9-mark question, right? Plenty marks there. Almost a full 10%. All right. So, Zach, I just saw you said 6. 6 for what, love? What was that in response to? If we're finishing at 6? No, we're finishing at 6:15 because we started at 4:15. And I might actually just stay on and do the full questions, but you don't need to stay. If you can't stay, guys, you could leave. If you have to, you can leave at 6:15. If you have to leave at 6, go ahead. If you have to leave at 6:15, go ahead. But I might actually just stay on and finish the rest of this paper. All right. May 2023, consider the following functions. F of x is equal to 3 over x plus 2, g of x is 4x minus 5, and h of x is x squared plus 1. For what value of x is f of x undefined? Right? So this is what we were talking about before, guys. When you have x in the denominator, you will have a restriction on the domain, which means that the function is undefined for certain values of x. Tristan, are you still there?
Yeah, miss.
What would be the domain restriction here? For what value of x would this function be undefined?
Uh,
Because
negative
it's
2.
Yeah, it's -2, right? Because in the denominator here, you have x plus 2. So remember, x plus 2 cannot be equal to 0. So then that means that x, well, sorry. Well, yeah, x plus 2 cannot be equal to 0. So it means that x cannot be equal to 0 minus 2. X cannot be equal to -2. So the value of x for which the function is undefined is -2. Because when you put -2, look at it. Look at it here, guys. When you put -2, when you substitute, if you find f of -2, that would be 3 divided by -2 plus 2. And that would actually be 3 over 0, which is undefined. Because you cannot divide by 0. Okay, that's why it's only 1 mark. All right, let's look at the next one. G of a quarter. G of a quarter. Well, G of x is 4 by x minus 5. So G of 1/4 is 4 times 1/4 minus 5. 4 times a quarter is 1, and 1 take away 5 is -4. So G of a quarter is -4. All right. H of -3. So h of x is x squared plus 1. H of x is x squared minus 1. So oh, sorry, plus 1, not -1. X squared plus 1. So that means that h of -3 will be -3 squared plus 1. Evan, work that one out for me.
For -3.
-3 squared plus 1. Yeah.
7.
Try again. Remember negative.
-6.
-3
-5.
squared means -3 times -3, right?
Yeah, miss.
Which is?
10, miss. 10, miss. My bad.
Yeah, 10. Good. So -3 squared will be 9, and then 9 plus 1 is 10. Thank you, Evan. So that would be, the reason I asked you that one is because you were mentioning when you square the negative, you'll get a positive. Okay. Now f of 0. So guys, f of 0, remember, whenever you have to find the value of a composite function given a value of x, find the value of the inside function first and then substitute it into the outside function. So meaning that to find f of 0 first and then substitute that whole value into f. So f of 0 would be equal to, well, f of x is 3 over x plus 2, right? So that would be 3 over 0 plus 2, which will give me 3 over 2. So f of 0 is 3 over 2. So therefore, f of 0 is the same as finding f of 3 over 2. And now you substitute 3 over 2 into the function f of x, right? Remember that f of x is 3 over x plus 2. So f of 3 over 2, I'm going to do it here because I have a little more space here. F of 3 over 2 would be equal to 3 over 2 plus 2. Right? Now, you could have used a decimal here because 3 over 2 is 1.5. So maybe that might have been easier for you to work with. But anyway, you could just put this in on your calculator and see what you get. So this would be 3 divided by 3 over 2 plus 2, which is 3.5, which is 3.5. So that would be 3 divided by 3.5, which is 6/7. Oh gosh, why do we have so many 6/7 things? Let me write this over as 3 over 2 plus 3, which is, oh sorry, 3 over 2 plus 2, 3.5. So 3 divided by 3.5 is 6/7. I sure it's Zayden who writes something in the chatter. No, it's Zach. Right, so the answer is 6/7. 3 divided by 3.5, right, would be 6/7. Okay. Whoever needs to leave, you could go ahead, but and you don't need to say you're leaving, you could just leave at any point you want, but I'm gonna finish the papers. Okay, we still have a few more to do. Write an expression in its simplest form, g of h of x. So let's recall what g of x is. G of x is equal to 4x minus 5. G of x is 4x minus 5. And then h of x is x squared plus 1. All right. So then g of h of x is finding g of x squared plus 1. So that would be wherever I have x in g of x, I'm going to replace it with x squared plus 1. So that will be 4 by x squared plus 1 minus 5. So that gives me 4 by x squared is 4x squared. 4 by 1 is 4. All of that minus 5 will be 4x squared. 4 minus 5 is minus 1. So it would be 4x squared minus 1. That is your g of h of x. Now, if you had to factorize this, right, this would be it's a difference of squares. So you can write this in terms of its factors as 2x minus 1 by 2x plus 1. Difference of squares because this is a square term and this is a square term. So the square root of 4x squared is 2x and the square root of 1 is 1. And to factorize it, you write it like this with different signs. Now we need to find g inverse of -2. So you would find g inverse first and then substitute the -2 in there. So g of x is equal to 4x minus 5. 4x minus 5. So then g inverse, first you let y equal g of x. So that would be y is equal to 4x minus 5. And then you interchange x and y. Let me write these. Interchange My screen is lagging a little bit. I hope it's not too distracting. Interchange x and y. So this would be x is equal to 4y minus 5. So then x plus 5 is equal to 4y. So x plus 5 divided by 4 is y. And that's your inverse, right? So therefore, g inverse x is equal to x plus 5 divided by 4. So then g inverse of -2, you will have to replace x with -2 in the function. So that's -2 plus 5 over 4. -2 plus 5 is 3. So that would be, answer would be 3 over 4. How do you make it work for that 2 marks, boy? All right, let's look at number 8. Y'all just give me 1 second. I want to close, I find it's lagging, so I want to close it. Functions f, g, and h are defined as follows. F of x is 4x minus 1, g of x is equal to x squared minus 5, and h of x is 3 to the power of x. Find g of x minus 2 in its simplest form. Okay, so g of x is x squared minus 5. So g of x minus 2 will be equal to x minus 2 squared minus 5. So expanding this, x minus 2 all to be squared will be x minus 2 by x minus 2. All of that minus 5. This would give me x by x is x squared, minus 2 by x is minus 2x, and minus 2 by x again will be minus 2x, and then let me write it out. Minus x by x is x squared, x by minus 2 is minus 2x, and then minus 2 by x is minus 2x, minus 2 by minus 2 is plus 4. All of that take away 5. So this would give me x squared minus 2x is minus 4x, and then plus 4 minus 5 is -1. So that would be your g of x minus 2 is x squared minus 4x minus 1. All right, f inverse 11. To find f inverse 11, you first need to find what f inverse is. So let's f of x equal y. So that would mean y is equal to 4x minus 1. Then interchange x and y. Interchange x and y. So that would be x is equal to 4y minus 1. And then you make y the subject. Make y the subject. That would give you x plus 1 is equal to 4y. So then y is x plus 1 divided by 4. That is your f inverse, right? So therefore f inverse x is x plus 1 over 4. And now to find f inverse of 11, you simply substitute 11 into that function. So 11 plus 1 is 12, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So f inverse of 11 is equal to 3. Next, we need to determine the value of h of 1. So h of 1, find h of 1 first, and then substitute that into h of x, right? So h of x is 3 to the power of x. So recall that h of x is 3 to the power of x. That means that h of 1 will be 3 to the power of 1, which is 3. Because as your law of indices states, a to the power of 1 is a. Any number raised to the power of 1 is itself. So finding h of 1 is finding h of 3. So therefore, h of 3 is it's equal to 3 to the power of 3. 3 cubed, which is 27. So h of 1 is 27. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. All right, moving on to May 2022. The functions f and g are defined as follows. F of x is equal to 5x plus 7, and g of x is 3x minus 1. For the functions given above, determine g of 1/3. So g of 1/3 will be 3 by 1/3 minus 1. 3 times 1/3 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So g of 1/3 is 0. F inverse of -3 means we need to find F inverse first and then substitute -3 for x in there. So let f of x equal y. So that means that y would be equal to 5x plus 7. Then we interchange x and y. Interchange x and y. That gives me x is equal to 5y plus 7. Then we make y the subject. So this would be x minus 7 is equal to 5y. So then x minus 7 divided by 5 is equal to y. And that is your inverse. So f inverse x is x minus 7 divided by 5. So therefore, f inverse of -3 would be -3 take away 7 over 5. -3 take away 7 is -10. -10 divided by 5 is -2. So f inverse of -3 is -2. Guys, I hope you see how repetitive this is. The same thing is coming every single year, right? So you just need to do, I would say, this number of past papers for all the topics, and you are going to be fine. You're gonna know stuff. Even if you don't get everything correct, you're gonna be able to get some of it, right? All right, three functions, f, g, and h are defined as f of x is 2x minus 1, g of x is 3x plus 2, and h of x is 5 to the power of x. Look, that's like exactly like this question up here, right? All right, so let's see. The first thing we need to do is to find the value of f of a half. So substituting a half into the function f of x, that would be 2 times a half minus 1. 2 times a half is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Find h of 0. Well, h of x is 5 to the power of x. So h of 0 will be 5 to the power of 0. And any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Then we need to find g squared of -3. Y'all, g squared of -3 is g of -3, right? So g squared is g of g. So to find g of g -3, let's find g of -3 first. Recall that g of x is 3x plus 2. So g of -3 is equal to 3 by -3 plus 2. 3 by -3 is -9, and -9 plus 2 is -7. So then g of -7, because that's what g of -3 is, right? So to find g of -7, it would be 3 times -7 plus 2, which is 3 times -7 is -21 plus 2, which will give me -19. -21 plus 2 is -19. So g squared of -3 is -19. Find g of f of x given your answer in its simplest form. So let's see, f of x is 2x minus 1. Let me write it over. F of x is 2x minus 1. And then g of x is 3x plus 2. G of x is 3x plus 2. So to find g of f of x, we need to substitute f of x into g. So that's finding g of 2x minus 1. So that would be wherever I have x, I'm going to replace it with 2x minus 1. So 3 times 2x minus 1 plus 2. G of x is 3x plus 2. All right, so simplifying, 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times minus 1 is minus 3 plus 2. So this would give me 6x minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. Then we need to find g inverse of x. So g inverse of x, let y equal g of x. So y is equal to 3x plus 2. Interchange x and y. So x is equal to 3y plus 2 and make y the subject. So x minus 2 divided by 3 is equal to y. So therefore, g inverse x is equal to x minus 2 divided by 3. Hence, or otherwise, determine the value of x when g inverse x is equal to 4. So what they're telling us is that g inverse x is equal to 4. So therefore, x minus 2 over 3, because that's what g inverse x is, that is equal to 4. So we need to solve for x. So this would be cross multiplying. This will be x minus 2 is equal to 3 times 4, which is 12. So then x is equal to 12 plus 2, which makes x equal to 14. All right, we're almost done, guys. Whoever is still here. See, a good number of you are still here. Thank you for staying. Given that f of x is equal to 1/3 x plus 4, g of x is 3x over x plus 1, determine the value of f of 9. So let's substitute 9 into the function f of x. So that would be 1/3 by 9 plus 4. 1/3 of 9 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. So f of 9 is equal to 7. Let me just double check it on my calculator. 1/3 times 9 plus 4 is 7. Good. Calculate the value of f of g of negative 3. So remember what I told you guys. Find g of negative 3 and then substitute that into f instead of finding the function f of g first and then substitute in negative 3 because that way is more difficult. So to find g of negative 3, we're going to substitute negative 3 into the function g of x. So g of x is 3x over x plus 1. So that would be 3 by negative 3 over negative 3 plus 1. This gives me 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And negative 3 plus 1 is negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So negative 9 over 2 will be positive 9 over 2. And then we can substitute that if g of negative 3 is 9 over 2, then f of g of negative 3 is the same as finding f of 9 over 2, because that's what g of negative 3 is, right? So f of x is 1/3 x plus 9 plus 4, sorry. So f of 9 over 2 will be 1/3 times 9 over 2 plus 4. So this gives me 3 into 3, 1. 3 into this is 3. So 3 over 2 plus 4, which will be, what is 3 over 2 plus 4? 3 over 2 plus 4 is 5.5, right? Or 5.5. So f of g of negative 3 is 5.5. I'm just checking over the one over here. Yes, good. All right, determine the value of x for which g of x is 5 over 2. So g of x, let's recall what g of x is. G of x is 3x over x plus 1. 3x over x plus 1. So if g of x is equal to 5 over 2, that means 3x over x plus 1 is equal to 5 over 2. To solve this, let's cross multiply. So we'll multiply 3x by 2, which will give me 6x, and then 5 times x plus 1. So 5 times x plus 1 would be, write it like this, just so that you end up, so that you correctly multiply there, right? So this would be 6x is equal to 5x plus 1. So then 6x, not 5x plus 1, guys. 5x plus 5, because 5 times x is 5x and 5 times 1 is 5. So 6x minus 5x is equal to 5. 6x minus 5x is, so x is equal to 5. Right? So the answer is 5. All right, we got in there. The function, this is the question from January 2021. The function f is defined as f of x is mapping on to 3 minus 2 times x. That's what 3 minus 2x is. Determine the diagram below shows the mapping diagram of the function. Determine the value of a. Okay, so a will be 3 minus 2 times negative 1, because that's f of x when x is negative 1 is really finding what f of negative 1 is. So f of negative 1 will be 3 minus 2 times negative 1. So this will be 3 minus 2 times negative 1 will be plus 2. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So therefore, a is equal to 5. Right, guys? The function here is x is being mapped onto 3 minus 2 times x. So here, like 0 maps onto 3 because 3 minus 2 times 0 is 3. Here, 1 maps onto 1 because 3 minus 2 times 1 is 1, and so on. So f of x is really to find what any of these values are. F of x will be f of, when x is 0, it will be f of 0. F of 0 is 3. When x is negative 1, f of negative 1 is a, which we just worked out to be 5. When x is 1, f of 1 is 1. F of 2 is negative 1. So that's how you interpret this mapping diagram. All right. Determine in their simplest form expressions for the inverse of the function f, that is f inverse x. So f of x is equal to 3 minus 2x, right? Remember the steps. The first thing is we let f of x equal y. So that would be y is equal to 3 minus 2x. Then we interchange x and y, so x will be equal to 3 minus 2y. And then you make y the subject. So 2y is equal to 3 minus x, and therefore y is 3 minus x divided by 2. So f inverse x is 3 minus x divided by 2. A composite function f squared of x, guys, f2, f to the power of 2x, this literally means f of x. Okay, that's what it means. So whenever you see that, that's what it means. So f of x is finding what f of 3x minus, sorry, 3 minus 2x is equal to. So let's see. So I'm substituting 3 minus 2x into the function f of x. So that would be 3 minus 2 times 3 minus 2x. That would give me 3 minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. Minus 2 times minus 2x is plus 4x. So 3 minus 6 is negative 3 plus 4x. So this is the function f squared x. State the value of f inverse of negative 2. So to find f of f inverse, you have to find the inverse of this, right? So f inverse, well, f of x is equal to negative 3 plus 4x. So, oh, actually, guys, hold on. Wait a minute. To find this one, you could, just like what I said before, right? Find the inside function first and then substitute that into the outside function. We already know what f inverse x is. F inverse x is 3 minus x divided by 2. So to find f inverse x of 2, right? Let's recall that f inverse x is equal to 3 minus x over 2. 3 minus x over 2. 3 minus x over 2. So therefore, f inverse of negative 2 would be 3 minus negative 2 over 2. And that would give me 3 minus by a minus is a plus. So 3 plus 2 is 5 over 2. So now I can find f of that. So we need to find f of 5 over 2. So f of x, recall that f of x is 3 minus 2x. So that would be 3 minus 2 by 5 over 2, which will give me 3 minus 2 into 2, 1. 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. So f of f inverse of negative 2 is negative 2. And I'm just going to check that on my calculator to be sure. 3 minus 2 by 5 over 2 is negative 2. So we are correct. Okay, let's see. We're almost there. We're almost there. Still have some of you here. Thank you for staying, guys. F of x is equal to 2x plus 7 over 5. Find the value of f of 4 plus f of negative 4. So f of 4 will be, well, f of 4 is 2 by 4 plus 7 over 5. And then f of negative 4 will be 2 by negative 4 plus 7 over 5. So that would give me 2 times 4 is 8 plus 7 is 15 over 5 plus 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 plus 7, which is minus 1 over 5. So this would give me 15 minus 1, which is 14 over 5. That's the answer. 14 over 5, right? 2 times 4 plus 7 divided by 5 is 3. And then 2 times negative 4 plus 7 divided by 5 is, well, 1/5. So 3 plus 1/5 is 3 and 1/5. Well, sorry, it's minus. This is minus. Yeah. Okay, so the answer is 14 over 5. Okay, calculate the value of x for which f of x is 9. So let's just see f of x is 2x plus 7 over 5. So that's 2x plus 7 over 5 is equal to 9. So solving for x, this would be 2x plus 7 is equal to 45. 9 5s are 45. 2x is equal to 45. Take away 7, which is 45. Take away 7 is 38. So then x is equal to 38 divided by 2, which is 19. So x is equal to 19. Hence, so otherwise, determine the value of f inverse of 9. Okay. F inverse of 9. Guys, you see this is only 1 mark, right? So if f of x is equal to 9, then f inverse of 9 will be 2 ways to do it. You can find f inverse and then substitute 9 into there, right? Or Sorry, guys. 1 second. Y'all give me one moment, sir. I have another student coming. Right. So hence or otherwise determine the value of f inverse 9, right? So if f of x is equal to 9, right? That means x is equal to 19. Then the inverse will be that the value of f inverse 9 will be 19 because f inverse of f inverse it does the opposite, right? So it's basically undoing the function f. So if you know that f of x is equal to 9, right? When x is equal to 19, then the inverse of f of x being 9 will be, the value of that will be 90. So the answer here is for f inverse 9 will be 19. So that's why they said hence or otherwise. Now, if you don't remember that, you can literally do the inverse and then substitute 9 into there, right? So let me just do that quickly to show you all. Now, the inverse of f of x, if f of x is 2x plus 7 divided by 5, then the inverse will be 5x minus 7 over 2, right? 5x, of course, you could work it out, but just looking at it, I would be able to determine what the inverse is because the inverse is literally the opposite of all these operations. So to get 2x plus 7 divided by 5, backwards will be 5x minus 7 divided by 2, right? So then f inverse of 9 will be 5 times 9 minus 7 over 2, which you'll see will give you 5 times 9 is 45. 45 minus 7 divided by 2 is 19. 45 minus 7 is 38, and 38 divided by 2 is 19. All right, we almost there. We have 2 more questions to do, guys. Stick with me. Uh, f of x is 9 over 2x plus 1 and g of x is x minus 3. State a value of x that cannot be in the domain of f. So remember the domain of f, um, if it's 2x, if 2x plus 1 is in the denominator, that cannot be equal to 0. So all you need to do is find the value of x that would make this equal to 0. So 2x plus 1, you equate it to 0 and you solve for x. So that will be 2x is equal to negative 1. So x is equal to negative a half. So the value is when x is equal to negative a half, the domain will cease to this function will be undefined, right? Because 2 times negative a half is um negative 1, and then negative 1 plus 1 is 0. The denominator cannot be 0. Find in its simplest form expressions for f of g of x. So we're going to substitute g of x into f of x. So f of g of x will be f of x minus 3. So that would be 9 over 2 times x minus 3 plus 1. That gives me 9 over 2 times x is 2. 2 times negative 3 is minus 6 plus 1. Sorry, I forgot to put 2x here. 2x. So that would be 9 over 2x minus 5. Right? And then, so that's the answer there. F of g of x is equal to 9 over 2x minus 5. F inverse x, so that's 9 over 2x plus 1. F of x is 9 over 2x plus 1. So that's y equal 9 over 2x plus 1. To change x and y, that would be 9 over 2y plus 1. And then make y the subject. So you'll end up with 2x by 2xy, sorry, 2y plus 1 is equal to 9. So then 2xy plus x is equal to 9. Wait a minute, I'm doing something wrong. Sorry, guys. See, where did I go wrong here? It's 9 over 2x plus 1, right? So then f inverse x, right? So y is equal to 9 over 2x plus 1. Interchanging x and y, you'll have x is equal to 9 over 2y plus 1. So then this would be um x times 2y plus 1 is equal to 9. So then 2y plus 1 is equal to 9 over x, and then 2y is equal to 9 over x minus 1. So then y is equal to 9 over x minus 1, all divided by 2. That's a nicer way to write this, for sure. The nicer way will be 2xy plus x. Now, this is how you have to do it. So that's your inverse, right? 9 over x minus 1 all over 2. Or you could write it as y is equal to a half by 9 over x minus 1. It's the same way. So f inverse x is 1/2 of 9 over x minus 1. Okay, this is the last one, guys. Last one. Given the function h of x is 2x plus 3 over 5 minus x, determine the value of x for which the function is undefined. Remember, that's the value that would make 5 minus x equal to 0. So that would be 5, 5, right? X is equal to 5. So the value of x, it cannot be 5, because if it's 5, then denominator will be 0. Final expressions for h inverse x. So let y equal 2x plus 3 over 5 minus x. All right, interchange x and y. So this would be x is equal to 2y plus 3 over 5 minus y, right? Make y the subject. So you'll have x by 5 minus y is equal to 2y plus 3. So then this would be 5x minus xy equals 2y plus 3. Bring all the y's to one side and carry the x's to the other side. So the terms with y here, you'll have, well, you could do 5x minus 3 is equal to 2y plus xy. The reason I did that is because I wanted I wanted the y's to be positive, right? So now you factorize y out of this to get it by itself. So this will be y by 2 plus x. And therefore, to get y by itself, you'll say 5x minus 3 divided by 2 plus x is equal to y. So the inverse, h inverse of x is equal to 5x minus 3 over 2 plus x. And that's your 3 marks. And guys, that is the end of 14 past papers, right? So these covered the years January 2019 to January 2026. These were all the questions on functions. And as you can see, it's the same types of questions that come every single year. So you can expect that in this year, the June 2026 paper, the May-June 2026 paper, you will be tested on functions.